I am now going to use the blending mode Color Dodge in order to add some more glossiness to our ice. Hello and welcome back to Artful Minds. My name is Anka, I'm a visual artist and technical art director, and Artful Minds is a place about fine art and mental health. Today, I would like to look at something a little bit different, namely, how to create realistic textures in digital painting. So, let's get started. First, let's take a look at 3 digital artworks that showcase the power of textures. The first one is my own creation. The second one is created by Jakub Rozalski for the game Site. If you're interested in board games, I can totally recommend this one. And the third is by Kyle Webster, the brilliant mind behind the Photoshop brushes that we are going to use today. What makes these pieces unforgettable isn't just the storytelling or characters, it's the textures. Here's the secret though. Almost all digital artists practice by painting texture spheres. It's a simple yet powerful exercise to master how materials behave. In fact, this idea inspired one of my own pieces, where I explored an entire world of textures in a single artwork by writing the words bold, fearless, inspiring, with different textures per each letter. Today, we're diving headfirst into the art of textures. Together, we'll create a mesmerizing sphere of ice, step by step, learning exactly what makes it shimmer and feel so real. Ready to bring your art to the next level? Let's get started. We are now in Photoshop, where I just created a circle using the elliptical marquee tool and pressing Shift in order to have a perfectly round circle that I then colored with the bucket by simply using a dark blue color tone. I love starting almost all of my digital artworks with Kyle's brush GOUACHE Go because it's really great for its versatility in both creating soft and textured effects. I am now saving the selection that I did with the marquee tool. To do so, I go to Select, Save Selection, and I just give it a name, in our case, Ice. And before I continue with the painting, let's look a little bit at some characteristics of the ice and at where the light is coming from. So I'm drawing a sun and an arrow. This means that my light will come from the left upper part of the image. When sunlight hits a sphere, it creates a strong specular highlight near the top, and for refractive materials like ice, a secondary glow at the bottom from bent light and reflected ambient colors. Ice is fascinating because it's both reflective and refractive. This means it can act like a mirror, bouncing colors and light from its surroundings, while also bending and scattering light that passes through it. These properties give ice its magical, almost translucent quality. Therefore, ice reflects its environment. For example, if objects of different colors are placed around an ice sphere, you'll see hints of these colors subtly reflected on the ice surface. Capturing this detail is key to make your ice feel like it belongs in its environment and has a real three-dimensional presence. Ice often appears dense and thick, especially if you're painting something like the ice that covers a frozen lake. Its layers can give it a slightly cloudy look in some areas, while other parts remain crystal clear. This interplay between opacity and clarity is an essential detail to get right. I am now working on this cloudy-like effect from the underneath the surface of the ice, and then slowly adding some highlights. Approximating already where I want to create the white cracks. Looking at the oil background crusher brush right now. In order to add some warm colors as if the ice is hit by the sunlight, similar to what happens on the lower right reference that you see in my Photoshop file. Then a small detail that I like to add with white is usually some dots that kind of show imperfection. For this, I'm using the Spatter brush from the same Kyle's mega pack of brushes. Another one of my favorite brushes is the palette knife tilt texture. This one I'm going to use in order to create the cracks on the sphere, because this brush actually imitates the knife that you would use in oil painting, for instance, and it gives a little bit of a sharper feeling to the ice cracks. And if you like this type of content, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. We're going to look quite often at both traditional art, digital painting, and there's also some music in the making, so stay tuned. When we look at ice references, one fascinating detail stands out: the glow around the cracks. Often, there's a strong, more vibrant color in the immediate proximity of these cracks, almost as if the ice itself is radiating light. I've chosen a light purple-blue shade to emphasize this glow. This color sits on a layer beneath the cracks, adding depth and a subtle sense of luminescence. You might have noticed by now that I'm keeping every thought process on its own layer. This approach lets me experiment freely while working in a non-destructive way. To add a very subtle feeling of under-surface cracks, I'm going to use the watercolor wash grain brush. And lower its opacity. I'm painting these small fractures in a little bit of a randomized way, and playing with the colors from grayer to more bluish tones. At the end of this process, I'm lowering the opacity of the entire layer. I would like a little bit of a more spattery effect, so I'm searching for a good brush for this. And I believe the Supreme Spatter would be a good idea, just making it slightly smaller and lowering its opacity. You can see how this adds a little bit of a more natural vibe to the entire sphere. Now I'd like to work a little bit more on the glow, so I'm going to show you a trick. We're going back to the Gouache Go-Go brush. I made a new layer in Photoshop underneath the cracks, and I'm using a stronger blue and a darker, almost black blue. I'm going to add with the palette knife again. You can see me now playing with the opacity of the layers until I find something that really works. For small details, I'm also using the classic cartoonist brush. It will add a little bit more of a crisp look, which helps with the glowing effect. I always find this brush a little bit too strong, but I think it's perfect for when you're trying to imitate ink. I just lowered the opacity of my layer. As you can see, I'm playing a lot with the opacity of the layers per se, sometimes directly with the opacity of the brushes. I'm back at adding a little bit of final colors from the reflection of the atmosphere, as if the sun at sunset maybe would directly hit the ice. I'm doing it also with a cartoonist brush that I was saying that's very good if we want to imitate ink. And I guess I'm still not very happy with the glowing, so I'm just using the brush Soft Drag right now. And in order to give a powerful effect to this layer, I'm going to change its blending mode. To color dodge. And you can see we get this really nice shine effect. I think now I'm happy with the result. I'm doing something similar on the upper part of the sphere, coloring and changing to color dodge. And now that's exactly what I was searching for. Stay creative, and until next time.